DC just quietly revealed a brand new Aquaman design, and almost nobody is talking about it. But here's the thing, it's not what anyone expected. Not even close. Because just when DC said it was moving on from Jason Momoa's era for good, the King came back looking more like Momoa than ever. Let's be honest. For decades, Aquaman was the punchline. The guy who talks to fish. The hero nobody wanted on their team. The one your friends mocked whenever you try to defend him. He was a meme before memes existed. Then Jason Momoa walked out of the ocean, and everything changed. When Momoa first appeared as Arthur Curry in Batman v Superman in 2016, the reaction was immediate. This wasn't the clean-cut, blonde king from the cartoons. This was a tattooed, long-haired, half-Polynesian warrior who looked like he'd eaten black manta for breakfast and asked for seconds. Audiences, especially younger ones, sat up straight. By the time his solo film arrived in 2018, Aquaman wasn't just accepted. He was a phenomenon. The film became the highest-grossing DCU movie ever made, crossing $1 billion at the global box office. That's a number not even Batman had hit in his solo run up to that point. And the comics? They followed immediately. DC gave Arthur Curry tattoos mirroring Momoa's in mainstream continuity. Artists leaned into the rugged, warrior aesthetic. Titles like Aquaman, Andromeda, and the Lost Kingdom special doubled down on the cinematic visual language Momoa had introduced. The screen had transformed the page, not the other way around. So what happens when the actor who redefined a hero for a generation moves on? That's exactly the question DC has been quietly answering. And the answer just landed in comic shops. When James Gunn took over DC Studios, the creative reset wasn't just on screen. It rippled into the comics. DC launched its All-In initiative, a line-wide publishing refresh designed to give every major hero a clean jumping-on point for new readers. For Aquaman, All-In meant goodbye to Momoa's shadow. Writer Jeremy Adams relaunched the character in January 2025, and with him came a dramatically different visual direction. The tattoos? Gone. The scraggly long hair? Trimmed. The rugged warrior look? Replaced by a clean-shaven, Golden Age-inspired Arthur Curry, a throwback to the original comic book design from the 1940s. Blonde, polished, classically heroic. It was a deliberate statement. DC was drawing a clean line between what the DCU had been and what the comics were choosing to be. Two different Aquamen for two different eras. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. Adams and artist John Timms were building towards something bigger than a simple redesign. They were engineering a transformation, one that would eventually force both versions of the character to collide in the same story at the same time. And when they collided, one of them looked exactly like Jason Momoa. DC's All-In initiative just evolved. The publisher has announced its second phase, DC Next Level, a wave of new titles, fresh creative teams, and major status quo upgrades across the line. This isn't just a new arc. It's DC signaling that every major hero is about to become something larger than what they were before. For Aquaman, the upgrade is seismic. The ongoing series has been officially retitled. Starting with issue number 15, it's no longer simply Aquaman. It is Emperor Aquaman. That shift in title tells you everything. This isn't Arthur Curry, the King of Atlantis anymore. That title belongs to a ruler of one undersea kingdom. Emperor is different. Emperor implies dominion on a scale the comics have never given this character before. DC KO, Evian Arthur defeats Darkseid. Superman distributes King Omega power to champions. Aquaman receives Alpha energy. The Blue's Incito and Alpha energy deepens Arthur's link to the Blue, the mystical force binding all oceans across the universe. His domain expands beyond Earth's seas. The Emperor Aquaman hashtag 15 Arthur receives visions of the future. His identity fractures. Two versions of himself emerge. And a new cosmic mission begins at beyond. Aquaman calls his people to the stars, riding Starro into the cosmos, expanding Atlantean civilization to alien worlds. The Blue isn't just Earth's oceans anymore. The Blue is every ocean on every world in the universe. And Aquaman, now Emperor Aquaman, is its champion. His mission has gone from protecting the seven seas to protecting every aquatic ecosystem across the entire cosmos. How do you visually represent a character whose power just went from planetary to universal? You start by giving him a design that makes him look like he's been alive long enough to deserve it. And that design? It's the one that brought Momoa straight back from the dead. Here's what makes the Emperor Aquaman reveal so fascinating. DC didn't just give Arthur a new costume. They split him in half. After the events of DC KO, the Omega energy doesn't simply upgrade Arthur Curry. It fractures his identity across time. The result is two simultaneous versions of the same man existing in the same story. Young Aartis, you are the innocent, a boy standing alone on the edge of the sea, representing the past, untested, pure. The version of Arthur before the crown, before the war, before the cost, the conqueror wild blonde hair, a full beard, a sleeveless version of the classic orange and green suit, and tattooed arms fully on display. This is the future self, hardened by millennia, built by consequence. That elder Arthur, the Emperor, is the design that stopped everyone in their tracks. Wild blonde hair, a full beard, a sleeveless suit, and those tattoos front and center. DC didn't just bring back a visual reference to Momoa. They built it into the architecture of the story itself. The most powerful version of Arthur Curry in the character's history looks like a direct spiritual descendant of what Jason Momoa built on screen. Classic all-iron, clean-shaven, face golden age blonde, hair full, classic suit. No tattoos polished. Regal aesthetic king of One Kingdom. DC is not erasing the Momoa era. The synopsis for Emperor Aquaman number 15 describes it plainly. Arthur is on a journey of self-discovery, imbued by Omega energy, the very essence of conquest. He must launch a brand new mission while navigating an identity fragmented across time. That fracture isn't accidental storytelling. It's the engine of the entire arc. The young Arthur represents innocence, the hero before the burden. The Emperor represents destiny, the version of Arthur that conquest and cosmic power have forged. The story's central tension is the question of whether those two identities can coexist or whether one must consume the other. And in that tension, the Crimson Queen waits. The synopsis confirms that Arthur must navigate this identity crisis while heading toward an eventual clash with a new antagonist threatening his friends and family. A fractured hero facing a new enemy, while simultaneously riding Star the Conqueror into the galaxy on a cosmic expansion of Atlantis. This is not a quiet arc. But here's the question that makes this design choice so interesting. Is the Emperor look permanent? Almost certainly not. And the story itself is the tell. When an identity split is the narrative engine, reunion is the destination. The two Arthurs will almost certainly merge back into a single, complete form by arc's end. And when they do, the classic all-in design that Adams introduced at the start of his run is the likely result. The Emperor look is a chapter, not a conclusion. But what a chapter it is. Because temporary or not, this design signals something much larger about where Aquaman is heading, in comics and potentially on screen. Here's where things get genuinely exciting beyond the pages of one comic book. Jason Momoa is done as Aquaman. That's confirmed. James Gunn's DCU is a fresh start, and Peacemaker Season 2's retconned previously on sequence, which digitally replaced Momoa's Aquaman with a new hero, made that abundantly clear. The DCU is over. Momoa himself has already been cast in Gunn's universe in a completely different role. Lobo, the intergalactic bounty hunter in the upcoming Supergirl film. That means someone new will eventually wear the orange and green on screen. And the Emperor Aquaman arc could be the blueprint. Think about what this story offers a new live-action adaptation. An Aquaman who isn't just a king of one undersea city, but an emperor with dominion over an oceanic force spanning the entire universe. A character linked to a cosmic mystical power called the Blue that connects all aquatic life across all worlds. A hero riding a giant alien starfish into galactic conquest. An identity crisis with two versions of the same man forced to reconcile their past and their destiny. That's not a superhero story. That's a space opera. And in a post-Guardians of the Galaxy world, a post-Thor, Ragnarok world, audiences have proven they will show up for exactly that kind of cosmic, character-driven spectacle. The timing matters too. DC is clearly using its comics to test ideas, build mythology, and establish new status quos before the films arrive. Jeremy Adams is doing for Aquaman what Jonathan Hickman once did for the X-Men in comics, building a world so rich and so layered that any film adaptation would have years of material to draw from. And if the new live-action Aquaman inherits even a fraction of the Emperor Ark's ambition, the billion-dollar film becomes the floor, not the ceiling. They're canonizing it into the future of the character. The look that Momoa pioneered on film, that the comics adopted in his wake, that Allen briefly set aside, it has now returned as the face of Arthur Curry's most powerful, most evolved form.